Welcome, Ram fans, to Swallowpalooza Thursday. I'm Steve Ivy, your host, the man behind Crackers College Hoops. It's my regular stream on Thursday night, and in a few minutes, I'll be bringing on my special guest, Jalen Lake. But before we get started, by the way, if I seem a little distracted, I'm trying to follow the Nevada is playing Vanderbilt right now in a very tight game in the final 4 minutes, and obviously I can't watch it while I do the show. I see there's a few people out there. Folks, feel free to shoot me some stuff in chat if you have any questions or whatever. When Jalen comes on, feel free to ask questions of Jalen. We do this live so that you can participate. So welcome to all of you that are out there. I do want to say I'm very happy with the way the stream is going, with the way the channel is going. The subscription base, people are subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything. So when you hear me beg to subscribe, it really helps. The more people that watch, the more hours, the number of likes. If you enjoy the show, please hit the like button. The more that happens, the more it helps me with feeling good about doing more and more good shows. I've been trying to bring you some really good content. My Monday morning show with Brady Hall. We've been bringing some great guests. We've had 3 CSU players, Jalen Crocker Johnson, Bowen Bourne, and who did I have this past week? Kyle Jorgensen. And then I've also had Coach Brian Cooley on my Monday morning show. So that's going well. We've had a lot of different things on my Swallowpalooza Thursday show. I'm also doing a final score show, which is a post-game show that usually comes about 45 minutes after the game, where I usually bring on a co-host and talk about the game, and that's working out really well. And then the other thing I do is a show once a week. We're doing a Mountain West Game of the Week. I'm doing it with my friend Tom Moser, who does the Top of the Mountain West podcast, where we pick a game of the week. This past week, we did on Monday night, we did Gonzaga at San Diego State and did a breakdown of that, and even had somebody who's a guy named Josh Link, who's a top Gonzaga podcaster as well, helping us with that. So that's turned into a fun show. So thanks for all the support. Like I said, I'm not going to wait any longer. I'm going to bring on my guest, Jalen Lake. Jalen, how are you tonight?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I am great. It is great to have you. Those of you who have been following CSU know that Jalen has gotten off to an incredible start this season in his senior year, averaging 17.3 points per game, 2 rebounds, 2.5 assists, and the shooting has been incredible. 50% shooting from 3-point from behind the arc, but nearly 70% in terms of an effective field goal percentage, which is basically taking 2-point and 3-point shots and doing that as a percentage. 70% is an incredible shooting percentage. We'll talk more about what's going on this season as we get later into the interview. But I want to start with talking about you've had some tough competition just within your own family. You grew up with a mom who was a pretty good basketball player, huh?
Oh yeah. This my mom played at Texas Tech. I've had a great basketball family. It's all I've known my whole life is basketball. So a lot of competition. We're constantly watching games and always talking about basketball. So yeah, definitely.
Did I see where in your crib you had a hoop in your crib so you could get used to being around a basket? Is that true?
Yeah, that's right. I've had basketball around me my whole life.
So did you did you play your mom one-on-one?
Yeah, we played one-on-one going back to when I was probably 5, 6 years old when I first started playing basketball in the backyard at our house, playing some one-on-one. She beat me. We definitely had some shooting competitions where she's beating me. But I think I finally got her probably around middle school maybe.
I was going to ask, when
And,
was the first time? When was the first time you beat her? So middle school.
yeah, probably around middle school when I beat
Um,
her.
was what? So let me ask you: was there a big celebration by you, and was she angry? She's obviously a
Oh,
competitor if she plays at that level.
yeah, she's the biggest competitor I know. Yeah, so she was definitely mad about that one. That I finally got her. And still to this day, I mean, I remember back in high school we played. There's just like a little mini hoop, and we'll play a shooting competition on a mini hoop in our house. And I remember I beat her in horse one time, and she was like, she didn't want to talk to me for the rest of the night because she was so mad about it. But
That's great. Yeah, well, you come from a great family. Obviously, I've met them at the CSU games, and that's one of the joys of being involved with the CSU program is the number of families that come to games and getting to know them. And she's a wonderful person.
yeah,
Um, so you grew up in Texas. And you were Waxahachie High School, right?
yes, sir.
And you were a top program. Your senior year, you guys weren't you ranked at the top in the state of Texas for a while?
Y- Yeah, we were two for a while throughout the whole season, and then we played Duncanville High School because they're in our district, and then we beat them, and then we were number one throughout the rest of the season. But yeah, we were ranked in the country. I can't remember where that was, but it was around COVID at that time too, my senior season. But yeah, we were ranked, and we had a really good team, and we were loaded that year. So that was a really fun year.
And for people that are out there, I think there's a good number who are pretty knowledgeable. Texas basketball is as good as it gets, and if you're a top team in Texas, you're talking about the best public schools going. It's a lot of the private schools are maybe ranked
Yeah.
ahead, but Texas is incredible basketball. So, who are some of the players you played against?
Oh man, that senior season, I mean, we played Harrison Ingram, who he was a top flight McDonald's All American. He plays for the Spurs now. Cason Wallace, Rylan Griffin, they played at Richardson. We played them. Keontae George is in the NBA as well. They were on the schedule, so we had a little schedule, and then also some really good players that are in college now. Brennan Housen, he plays at Kansas State. He played at Amarillo, played him. I mean, it was loaded. I mean, throughout my whole career, we played RJ Hampton, Jalen Wilson, all of those guys.
That's
So
that's that's a that's a that's kind of an all-star list. I've
yeah,
had a chance to talk to Isaiah Stevens about some of the guys he played, and his year he was a couple of years before you, and
hmm
say he would list the same. You'd hear 5 or 10 guys that are NBA level players, and
yeah, yeah, it's loaded.
it is absolutely loaded. So here you were in Waxahachie, and you were recruited pretty heavily, and you chose CSU. Why CSU? You were recruited, I think, by Oklahoma State, Virginia Commonwealth, some really good programs. Why Colorado State?
Yeah, I mean, during that time, it was really interesting because it was COVID, and I didn't get to take any visits. So going in throughout my whole junior year and that summer, it was tough playing AAU as well. We played some tournaments, and there was coaches watching online and things like that. But I had a good amount of Zooms with Coach Ali for Ogmanesh. He recruited me heavily. And then obviously Coach Medved too was in there. A lot of those Zooms as well, and just seeing that how genuine they were, and seeing that they believed in me and what they could see in my future and developing in my game as a basketball player. It just really, really interested me. I mean, like I said, it was Zoom, so it was a leap of faith as well going into that. And I'm really glad it worked out really well for me. So
Yeah, it did you have any, I mean, so you obviously you had contact with people, before COVID. Did you have any personal contact with Coach Medved and Coach Ali?
yeah, I remember Coach Ali had came to one of probably like honestly it was like my sophomore year. I know he was at a game. I don't even think he knew who I was. I remember he was watching one of one of my other teammates or around. It was in a tournament my sophomore year. I remember he was there watching. Then he ended up coming to a practice my junior year. So yeah, seeing him there, they recruited me some, and they also recruited one of my best friends in my high school, CJ Noland, as well. So I've seen them around and talked to them, and then obviously in COVID, things started to really pick up, and they started, really recruiting me hard.
That COVID year was an interesting year. By the way, we have a comment. It's Abriana watching.
Oh yeah, that's my little cousin.
Oh, that's
Hey,
awesome.
Brianna.
How old? How old?
She's 12.
She's 12. That's great.
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you
fun.
thank you for coming on the stream with us. I covered the team that COVID year
Mhm.
as part of the media, and I was fortunate. I had a media pass, and we'd all sit together in the little media section, and there were no fans,
Mhm.
just teams, empty gym. Weren't allowed any contact with the players or the coaches, and
Yeah,
it was the most sterile. It was difficult, and
yeah.
I would imagine that whole recruiting process was just, like you said, a leap of faith and very, very difficult for you just to get a feel for where you wanted to end up.
Right, yeah, I know COVID was a crazy time, and, going through that whole process was really stressful, and like you said, I took a leap of faith, and I'm just really glad it worked out.
Now in Texas, were you able to have fans at your games?
Yeah, Texas was a little lenient. I remember it was COVID, and like during going to AAU, we started playing in like June, like pretty early. Texas was pretty lenient. We had some fans, and they were pretty good about the protocols and stuff like that and being safe. But we started playing early, and then they kind of limited it to like half. Once high school came, it was like limited to like half of the fans could come out to some of the games. So
Yeah, what was interesting, CSU never let fans in, but some of the other schools started to do it. And so when
mhm,
CSU played at Utah State, there was a load of people. When they played at
yeah,
Wyoming, there were a load of people. When they
I remember
played
watching. Yeah,
at I think Nevada, there were a load of people. And that was kind of an unfortunate situation. They had the Rams that year, in that COVID year, were probably one game away from qualifying for the NCAA tournament.
yeah, yeah.
So
I
anyway,
know.
yeah, it was a tough year. So you come to CSU. Your first year, I mean, you immediately you came into a very strong program with a recruiting class that was 2 years ahead of you. It was the class with David and
Mhm.
Isaiah, and then you had Rivera a year ahead of you, and you had a lot of guys in front of you. And you walked in and you started playing. You probably played about 15 minutes a game right away. What was it like as a freshman? Was it was it like learning how to swim, or how was it for you?
Yeah, no, it was a huge learning curve. I mean, I had like you said, mentioned those guys. They were extremely good vets, and they showed me the way, and they were in my corner. Adam Thistlewood as well. I remember him helping me out throughout that whole summer, and I don't know if you know, but he was hurt throughout that whole summer with his wrist and stuff like that. And I just remember him like he was there in my corner every single workout, helping me, showing me how to be a Ram, what the culture is like, and he was tremendous in that way. So yeah, it was a huge learning curve, and just seeing the pace and the physicality, and what the work ethic is like, seeing Isaiah Stevens and his work ethic, and how he got his approach to the game and things like that. It was a huge learning curve. So it was awesome, and that's what I remember being recruited, and Coach Medved and Coach Ali, they were like, "You're gonna be thrown into the fire early," and I remember them saying that, and so I was thrown into the fire early, and playing against some of the top talent, and just seeing that was awesome.
So was it? That was the first time that CSU qualified for the NCAA tournament. We went as a 6 seed, played in Indianapolis, and you got
Mhm.
a pretty good chunk of minutes. Was that something? I mean, how did that feel as a freshman coming to CSU, knowing that you were probably living one component of a dream, coming to play college basketball?
Yeah, yeah, that was a dream come true, playing in March Madness, and seeing what that stage was like was can't even put it into words of how awesome that was and how much of a blessing that was. I remember towards the end of the season, I wasn't playing as much. And so going into it, I didn't really know like what would happen or if I was going to play as much or I was going to play a few minutes here and there. But I ended up staying out there and playing out there, and it was awesome playing on that stage. I wish we could have got the job done that game, being up like that, and but it was awesome playing on that stage.
So if I remember, I was at the game, and we had a great first half, and we really struggled shooting the ball in the second half and couldn't stop them. But you were I think you might have made the last 2 threes for us and trying to keep us in the game. Is that did you remember?
Yeah, yeah. I remember hitting two big threes, kind of late into that second half, and it was just one of those shots. It was like I'm here. I'm not even gonna think about it. Let's just shoot them, see if it goes in. And I was glad, it went in, and that helped my confidence just playing on that stage, and especially going into that next year as well.
Yeah. So next year you went in and you basically were started a majority of the games. I think you started. We played, I think, 25 games, or you played 25. You had, I think, maybe a couple injuries, but started 20 of them, and and had a career high 17 points, a career high before this year against San Diego State, overtime loss. You
Mhm.
guys, it was kind of a down year. We were a little short on big men, but that was you made the transition to starter. What was that? What was that like?
Yeah, yeah, it was awesome. Just being able, like I said, just having that confidence from that year, from my freshman year going into my sophomore year, and just that development throughout that whole summer, just wanting to be able to get stronger and trying to be as consistent as possible and effective in as many ways. And I think I grew a lot defensively as well, and I feel like that really stood out to the coaches, and being able to help me get on the floor and play a lot more minutes and going into a starting role was awesome. So
Yeah, and and you're shooting. I think you shot 38% your sophomore year from three, which is obviously at a high level. Um,
mhm.
then you come to your junior year, and all of a sudden you're put into what I would consider what was called by the coaches, and it was actually correct. You were the sixth starter. You didn't start a lot of games. You started when Josiah got hurt, but you played pretty much starters minutes and were a very important component of another NCAA tournament team. What was it like going from starter to six man, basically?
Yeah, yeah, I remember having that conversation with Coach Medved about being the sixth man and coming off the bench then. And I remember telling him I was like, I want to do whatever they think is right because I feel like they trust them and I know they trust me. And trying to go out there and get a win as much as possible. I mean, I want to do it as much as possible to win at the highest level. So I know they have the faith in me, and last year obviously was a lot of ups and downs, a lot of adversity, um, just with me personally with injuries and things like that. But I just want to win and try to do anything as much as possible to try to be out there on the floor and try to win.
Well, the thing is, you were playing the role beautifully.
Mhm.
I think you were averaging about 8 a game, and you had the big game against CU playing with the very injured finger that required surgery after the game. You
Yeah.
heard it in practice, right? Is that what happened?
Yes, yes, heard it in practice. It was kind of a freak thing. We're just going against scout, and I remember I put my hand out into one of the players when they were setting a screen on me, and it just jammed right into his shoulder. And then I go over to the side, and I'm looking at the trainer. I'm like, I jammed my finger bad. I've never seen it like this, and it's crooked. And he was like, "Oh, this may be kind of serious." And I ended up finishing practice the rest of the day. I didn't know what was going to happen. I thought I just jammed it really bad and it hurt really bad. But I ended up finishing practice that day and then had to
Well,
get X-rays the next morning, and it was a lot more serious than what people thought it would have been after the X-rays. And they were like, we don't know what's going to happen. I mean, you could play tomorrow and then get the surgery the next day. And I was like, all right, let's just play. It's CU, so
was that? I mean, that had to be. obviously a motivating factor.
Definitely.
And then you go out and you basically torch CU. I think you were 3 for 5 on threes. You got fouled on a 3-pointer, ended up with 16 points. How did that feel at the end of the game?
Yeah, obviously my finger was hurting the whole time, but no, I remember Coach Medved talking to me for the game, and right before we were run out in the tunnel, and he put his hand on my shoulder. He's like, "Just go out there, don't think about anything, and just play with joy." And that's something that I took with me throughout playing today and playing in each game is just go out there and play with joy, play free, and just having the right mindset mentally. And I feel like that just helped me going along through to now as of today. So
Yeah, it was, from a fan perspective, it was one of the more memorable games, and I know how much Isaiah loved it. You had to love it. Everybody had to love it because CU was a very good team.
yeah,
They were
oh
an
yeah, they're
NCAA
local.
tournament team with 2 number 1 draft picks and a number 2 draft pick, and
Mm,
a few other guys that have gone on to other schools to play
right.
their 5th years. They were a heck of a team last year. That was a great win, and that had to feel extremely rewarding. But then surgery, and you missed 6 games or so,
Yeah,
um,
yeah, I missed about a month of it.
and then came back. I think in time for New Mexico, but it never seemed like you were 100% in terms of. Did it not feel right? Is it just something that you just came back because you felt the need to help the team, or was it just one of those things?
Yeah, I mean, I had got cleared fully by the doctors and things like that, and I didn't really know how things were gonna go throughout that year, but it just kind of felt like I couldn't get my rhythm back, and just kind of mess with me mentally and things like that. So just trying to find that rhythm. And obviously, I had some good games shooting here and there, but just overall, just kind of mess with my mindset and mentally. So
Yeah, it's hard. I always found, whenever I had, not that I ever played at your level, but whenever I got injured, the hardest thing was getting back. It was a rhythm thing and a conditioning thing. No matter how hard you thought you could be conditioned, you tried to be in good shape. It takes a few games to get back into basketball playing shape. And
right,
I imagine it was kind of difficult to get that rhythm back that you had prior to the injury.
yes, yes,
So anyway, you did have a big game against Nevada that was probably the game that put us over the top and got us in the tournament. Who knows what would have happened if we had lost that game? But
yeah.
I think another 16-point output against Nevada, and then obviously on to the NCAA tournament, a win over Virginia that had to feel awfully good, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. NCAA tournament to be back there and playing on that stage, and that was awesome. Maybe we didn't like the outcome of us being in that final, the first four or whatever, but we just went out there and try to prove the point as much as possible and just try to win. So that felt awesome. Trying to getting that win. So.
Was there anything personal for you with the game against Texas?
Oh man, my granddad who's always at the games, he's a big Texas Longhorn fan, and seeing him being a fan of them, and talking a little bit, but that was awesome playing against them. Obviously wanted hurt a little losing that game, but that was cool going out there and playing against them.
Yeah, so it was a tremendous season. Again, you 2 of your first 3 years getting into the NCAA tournament, and now and then we come to your senior year, and I talk to me about what you did in the off season to get yourself ready for your senior year, because it's obvious the first time I saw you, you looked bigger and stronger. There must have been a lot that went into the off season for you.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Right after the season last year, I remember I was like, I want to get a lot stronger, want to be um, in the best shape as possible coming into this season. So I worked extremely hard on my body and trying to get more flexible, trying to be a lot stronger this whole summer and lifting as much as I can in the weight room with JP and doing things on my own as well outside of that too, just trying to do a little extra as much as possible. And I knew that would help me and try to take me over top and just mentally as well, trying to work on that.
So for old guys like me, it's easy to put on weight. Is it hard? How many calories a day did you have to do to put
Oh,
on weight?
man. I mean, I'm still to this day right now, I'm drinking a shake in the morning, shake at night, trying to get at least 5 meals in a day with snacks in between.
Oh my God.
It's tough. It's tough, to hold on that weight, especially as a basketball player, you're running every day.
Yeah,
Trying to
I
yeah.
admire. I don't know how you do it. I mean, like I said, I could put on 10 pounds just by getting up in the morning and breathing. But when you're young and running as hard as you guys do in practice and during games, so so obviously you worked hard in the off season. What kind of goals do you set personally for yourself in the off season as you approached your senior year?
Yeah, I think just trying to be in the right headspace going into this year. I feel like I've learned so much throughout this whole past 3 years of my freshman, sophomore, and junior season. You know, I just wanna put it all together and just try to come out here and just try to help the team as much as possible. I feel like I wanted to be the best vocal leader as possible. I feel like I've done a really good job of leading by example throughout starting as my sophomore season. But just trying to be the best vocal leader for guys out there on the floor, making sure guys are in the right spots and pushing buttons that could help guys and holding each other accountable and trying to because I mean obviously I'm a quiet guy as most people know and the coaches maybe describe and I have a common presence maybe, but just trying to be a vocal leader as much as possible to help this team to win.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the leadership thing because you have been what in the past what I consider, like you said, leader by example. That was always my style whenever I did anything. I was never a really vocal person, but you're the kind of guy, you play the way the coaches want to play. That's what I've always heard from whether it's Coach Medved or any of the assistants. And you have led by example, but the vocal is we had Kyle Jorgensen on my show on Monday morning, and he specifically pointed to you as being very, very important to his development, and he's really come on, and I know he's appreciative. But has it been hard for you to become more that vocal person?
Yeah, I would say it's been tough, and I feel like the coaches have done a really good job of just being in my corner and being in Neek's corner as well. Trying to be a vocal leader as much as possible, and they've helped us throughout the whole process. It's not like I'm just out there on my own, being the only guy talking to my teammates. So just having my teammates around, and obviously we have some guys that have played at the highest level, Ethan Morton, Bowen Bourne. They've been great vocal leaders as well. So just having those guys around and having the coaches around, and it's helped a lot tremendously for me as well.
Well, let's get to your. I said we'd be talking about your own personal growth this year. Obviously, 17.3 points a game, but the last three games, I think 22, 21, and 19 points, averaging over 20 points a game, shooting a tremendous percentage. We talked when I did a post game show after the exhibition game, and I think you took 14 shots, and I talked about it, and one of the people came on and said he's never taken 14 shots in his life with CSU. The most you'd ever taken was I think 11, and you've been regularly taking more shots. And what's interesting is, and I want to ask you about this. You're not really hunting shots. You're shooting shots within the flow of the flow of the offense, and that's kind of a learn from what I watch as a fan. It's kind of a learned skill of knowing this offense and knowing when to pick your spots. How is that something that you're feeling more comfortable in the offense, and when to look for these the shots at whether you're shooting a three or whether you're going inside and penetrating?
Yeah. I think just learning from the coaches and just being in the system for 4 years now obviously has helped a lot for me, and knowing when to take the right shots and just letting the game come to me. I know that I haven't been as aggressive offensively, like you said, in the past, and so that's what I wanted to do this year. And what I set a goal for myself is just try to let the game come to me, take the right shots, and know that the coaches trust me to take those shots and have the belief in me. So that just helps my confidence a lot. Just being able to step up and knock it down and seeing it go in. So
Yeah, there's always a fine line between taking the right shot and hunting shots, and what I've seen these first few games is you don't take bad shots, you take good shots within the flow, and you've been much more assertive doing it. I wanted to ask you, is being a little bigger and stronger, is that helping you get your shot off a little easier inside, do you think?
yeah, a little bit. I mean, obviously, I think I've done a better job of being more physical, getting to the basket as well. Playing off 2 feet is what coach preaches. So I worked extremely hard on that in the off season and just trying to get my handle together, being able to make decisions for other guys, and creating for off the dribble as well. I feel like it's just expanded my game and just also helped me in my catch and shoot as well. So I feel like that's helped me.
I want to pull up something. I want to pull up some Ken Palm numbers just to show people
Yeah.
what's going on here. If you can see it, the numbers have been, so like I said, 50% 3-point shooting, 63% 2-point shooting, 90% from the free throw line. Your free throw rate is up, which shows you're going to the basket a little more. You're drawing more fouls. You're committing fewer fouls, which speaks to maybe a little more strength and flexibility.
Yeah.
Your turnover rate is down. Your assist rate is up. All these things, all the numbers are up, which I think points to a lot of really good things in terms of what you've done in the off season and in preparing yourself for your senior year. So I hope I think people are really appreciating and enjoying what you and Neek are doing as a dynamic duo here. So
Yeah, I appreciate that.
yeah. So the other thing, I'm going to let you go soon. It's been fun having you.
Yeah,
One of the things I looked up, I know you guys, I'm sure you have a goal of trying to get the NCAA tournament, right?
absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
Doing what it takes, whether it's an at-large or whether you have to win the Mountain West tournament. I don't think there's ever been a CSU player who has played in 3 tournaments.
After the season last year, when I was talking with Coach Medved, I remember him bringing that up to me. So that would be awesome. That's obviously a goal, is make the NCAA tournament, and to be the only CSU player so far to do that would be really cool for my career. So I want to be able to do that.
Well, that would certainly be a great way to end a 4-year career with doing what you're doing in terms of the not just the scoring and
Mhm.
but the defending, but the leadership and helping this team get to the NCAA tournament. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you go. This has been fun. I've
Okay.
never, we've known each other
Yeah.
for since you came here, and I've gotten to
Right.
know your family. I love your grandfather. We have a great time
Yeah. That's cool.
talking with him, and it's been a pleasure because I've gotten to know you a heck of a lot better.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot. We'll definitely see you tomorrow night, and I'm trying to get you on in December. I'm not going to
Yeah.
reveal to everybody else. We're working on a very special show with Jalen.
Yep. Yep.
And we had hoped to do it by now, but we're going to try and do it in December. Anyway,
Yeah.
Jalen, thank you so much for coming on. You've
No,
been great.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for having me. It's been awesome. I've had so much fun.
You bet. Have a great evening, and we'll see you tomorrow night.
All right. Thank you. You too.
Go Rams.
Go Rams.
That's Jalen Lake. It's a joy to get to know him. Like he said, a very soft-spoken leader by example, but really has developed a lot more of the vocal capabilities. And it's wonderful to see a player mature like him. And as you'll see, some of the younger guys point to him as being very important. Like I said, Kyle Jorgensen was on the show on Monday, and specifically talked about how Jalen has been very, very helpful. He said, hey, you can do this, you can do that, and here's the kind of stuff you got to think about. And so it's wonderful to see what's happening with Jalen this year. And if things continue, we're looking at possibly all league honors and hopefully NCAA tournament. Boy, would it'd be fun if he was the first CSU player to play in 3 different NCAA tournaments. Anyway, before I go, I just want to do a few other things. I wanted to talk about, if you follow me on X, I've done some things to talk about what some of the other former CSU players have been doing. I keep an eye on Isaiah Stevens. I'll get to that in a second. But players that are currently playing in the NCAA, John Tonje, who is now a 6-year player, missed last year at Missouri and got a medical redshirt and is now at Wisconsin, scored 41 points and was National Player of the Week, scoring 41 points against Arizona. John's averaging 23 points and 5 assists. So off to just an unbelievable start with Wisconsin. It is exciting for me to see that, to see what he's doing. Isaiah Rivera has transferred to DePaul in his 5th year. He was top 10 in scoring in the Big East so far, averaging 16 points, 3 rebounds, and 2 assists. But those 2 guys doing tremendous as 6th and 5th year players. Also, I wanted to cover the guys that transferred out last year, in case you're interested. Tavy Jackson is at Southern Utah, and Tavy is averaging 10 points and 3 assists for Southern Utah. They've had some, I think they're 3-2, and they had a real good win over, I can't remember who it was. They beat a pretty good team. Kyle Evans is playing for a team that's currently in the top 50 in KenPom, UC Irvine, coming off the bench, averaging 4 points and 3 rebounds a game. Jack Payne starting for Idaho, 8 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals a game. Javante Jackson playing for Cal Baptist, also in the WAC, same conference as Tavy, is averaging 4 points and 2 rebounds and 2 steals a game. He's gotten some starts. He's come off the bench as well. So he's doing really, really well. And then the other one I wanted to mention, there was a walk-on last year, Cam Lowe, and I got to know Cam really well. He's a great kid. Walked on, had gone to the Air Force Academy, but didn't want to go to Air Force. And he was he walked on at CSU and was on the scout team last year. And he's a good player. He's about a 6'5", 6'6". He's a horse, about 210 or 220. And he transferred to Black Hills State, which is where Joel Scott went. And Joel Scott obviously came here and played a year and did really, really well. Cam is doing his thing at Black Hills State, averaging 13.5 points a game and 8.5 rebounds a game as a redshirt freshman. So doing really, really well there. So I just wanted to get caught up on all those players. It's always a joy for me to follow them. They've been developed and had a lot of play at CSU, and it's really wonderful to see them expand their careers at other schools. We wish them nothing but the best of luck. So I did want to mention what Isaiah Stevens is doing. He's starting for a G League team in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, averaging about 37 minutes a game. He's currently 3rd in the G League in assists per game. Shocker, huh? 9 assists per game. He's already had 2 double-doubles, including a 14-assist game. Had a 21-point, 10-assist game as well, and doing really, really well. I was going to mention, my wife said, geez, she looked and said, is there any chance we could go see Isaiah play a game? And I said, Sioux Falls is pretty far away. It's a 12-hour drive, and that's a lot for this old man. But I started looking around, and if Isaiah plays the whole season, I'm hoping he gets called up to Miami and gets signed to a contract by Miami. But if he ends up in the G League for the whole season, it turns out he's playing in Salt Lake City on February 12th and February 13th. So back-to-back games in Salt Lake City. And I started looking at the basketball schedule going, am I going to miss any CSU games? And lo and behold, CSU is in Logan, Utah on February 11th. So I looked at my wife. We were going to go see CSU play Virginia Commonwealth in Las Vegas on December 14th. And, we were thinking maybe it's not a good time to travel. I don't like traveling between Thanksgiving and Christmas. And I looked at my wife and said, hey, how about if we drive to Utah and go see CSU play in Logan, and then go see Isaiah for a couple games and go visit my daughter who lives in Salt Lake, in south of Salt Lake City in Lehi, Utah. So we got the road trip planned now. We're going to be going to Utah. Hopefully Isaiah is still with the team by then. I mean, actually, I'm hoping he's with Miami, but if he's not, let's hope he's healthy. Let's hope he's playing well, and we'll go catch him. I've been trying to get him on the show. He's tough. He's tough to schedule. He's a very busy young man, working out and practicing and playing professionally. But if he can't come to me on my live stream, I'm going to figure out a way to track him down. So anyway, that's that. That's what's going on with the CSU players. If you watched the show a couple of Thursdays ago, we did a little bit of a travel log in Europe and caught up with interviews with Joe Palmer and Pat Carty, and also talked about what Josiah Strong and Joel Scott and Nico Carvaccio are doing right now. So anyway, that's that. I will be doing a show tomorrow night, and I hope you will join me post game. CSU plays University of California, Riverside, the Highlanders. And I've always tried to figure out why they're called the Highlanders, because doesn't seem like Riverside is very high. They're coming to play at 5,000 feet. So what happens when Highlanders play at 5,000 feet? I don't know. Anyway, they're coming to play a dangerous team. They played BYU within 6 in Provo. BYU's a good team. They played Oregon, I believe, within about 8 or 9 points up in Eugene. They did get smoked the other night by Santa Clara, so they're going to be angry and coming in, and it's going to be a tough game. Anyway, I will be doing my post-game live show roughly 45 minutes after the game. I'm anticipating it starting at 9:45, and I will have none other than a couple of members of the Outlaws of Moby as my guest, my co-host guests, to help talk about the game. So please join us. A lot of people are coming in and commenting on that show. We have a lot of fun with that show. I encourage you, if you find time on a Friday night before you go out partying after the game, listen to Brian and Adam on the post game on the radio on the way home, and then come join me on YouTube. Anyway, I'm gonna wrap it up. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you, Jalen Lake, for joining us. I'm so excited. I love the CSU program and the support I'm getting from Coach Medved and the players in terms of building this channel. I love the support you people are giving me in making this, in growing this channel. We're going to keep trying to give you great content. But for now, let's call it a night, and hopefully I'll see you all tomorrow night. Go Rams.